Okay, time to see how my videos are doing. Nice, 400 subscribers. I wonder how many views I'm getting. Whoa, 88 views? 103? Oh, 15k, that one's doing pretty well. Though it was only after that one guy did the same video idea as me. Okay, to be fair, he announced his video before I posted mine, but the original version of my video was posted before his. So he obviously must have been one of the 102 people who saw that original crappy version and decided it'd be a great idea to rip me off. I'm sorry, Keen, please don't be mad at me. I didn't mean it. Your video wasn't that bad. Though I am getting tired of every other comment on my videos saying that they only saw it because of your video. Okay, what else is getting views? Really? Black back? That video's not even that good. Well, I guess I could do another Yo Gabba Gabba YouTube poop or even a full series retrospective on this show, but I don't think I'm ready to undertake that yet. Next. Oh, the Wiggles. Yeah, I think I can do another video about them. I've got the perfect idea. So, the Wiggles, they release odd videos, so let's rank all of them. But only the Greg and Sam videos, none of the ones with those new guys. I also won't be including the Wiggles movie since that was a theatrically released movie. Maybe I'll give it its own review someday. I also won't be including any of these things, or any of their concert videos, or Hot Potatoes the Best of Wiggles since that's just a compilation of older songs. Or Big Birthday since that's also just mostly old content. Which leaves us with 33 videos. Though as you'll see there's only 31 entries because 2 of them are just remakes which I decided to rank alongside the originals. It took me over a month just to watch 33 videos. Anyway, on with the ranking. Starting at the very bottom, at number 31, we have Let's Eat. This one is just terrible. There are only 3 songs that I actually kind of liked. There's England Swings, that one's actually pretty good.
England swings like a pendulum do. Bobby's on bicycles 2 by 2. West is the ivy, the Tower Peak bed, the rosy red cheeks of the little children.
There's Rag Mop, that one's pretty okay. And of course there's Squid Jigging Around, gotta love that one.
Squid, squid, ding, ding, ding.
And I guess there's also the Dreidel song, but I mean, come on, everybody knows that song. Besides that, most of them are just kind of forgettable, but some of them are really bad. Both of the Dorothy songs in this one are just terrible. They are so tone deaf.
Clap your hands,
Clap your hands,
clap with me.
Dorothy.
There's also that weird Captain Feathersword song that they repeat 4 times throughout the video. Just why? And speaking of songs getting repeated, they repeat the same song 7 times, just with a different day and food each time, you know, so they've got Monday is Muffin Day, Tuesday is Taco Day, Wednesday is Watermelon Day, but for Thursday, it's not even alliterative, it's just Thursday's Bratwurst Day.
Doofenshmirtz quality bratwurst.
There's also that Sound Your Funky Horn song where I can't even tell what they're saying most of the time. It's very poorly mixed. And this song is just kind of forgettable, but I feel like mentioning Alabama Jubilee just because for whatever reason they decided to have the green screen background be a church despite the song having nothing to do with church at all. I just thought I'd mention that. But yeah, overall a pretty bad video. It's not terrible, but definitely not good. Next up we have number 30, The Wiggles Go Bananas. This one's pretty on par with Let's Eat. Again, most of the songs are just forgettable, with only a couple good ones and some really bad ones. I like the Wag song in this one, it's pretty good.
Every single morning when we're sleepy and we yawn and wag the dog is chasing his tail.
That Rusty the Cowboy song is pretty alright.
Rusty the cowboy rides a lonely trail.
Though I am kind of confused, because in the introduction, this guy refers to his son as being Rusty the Cowboy, even though during the song, Rusty is portrayed by Anthony. So which one's the real Rusty? I also really like Once I Saw a Little Bird, but that might just be because it's a Jeff solo, and if you don't know, Jeff is my favorite Wiggle. Okay, on to the songs I didn't like. I've always found Monkey Man to be really annoying. I'm a Scary Tiger is just straight up embarrassing.
I'm a scary tiger.
And I guess on that note, I should mention how, because all the songs are about animals, there's a lot of people in animal costumes, which is actually a pretty frequent occurrence in the Wiggles. I mean, I personally wouldn't read into it since I don't really think it means anything, but, I just thought I'd point it out. Also, I guess they're trying to go with a 50s aesthetic for the song for some reason. But the absolute worst part about this video is that Henry isn't even in it. Yeah, Henry, one of the main characters in the Wiggles universe. He doesn't show up once. Sadly though, Henry's always been fiddle when it comes to the Wiggly friends. There's this one song dedicated to worshiping lions.
Everyone says, Hail the King! Lion is king. Lion is king.
You'll also probably notice that the Wiggles are in Elvis outfits here, and that's because the Wiggles really like to reference Elvis. They also really don't like making new costumes, so notice if you watch all the videos, they like to reuse old costumes whenever they can. The ones I notice being reused a lot in particular are these cowboy outfits and also the mariachi outfits. There's also a song called The Poor King, which is literally just a king finding random animals and random things around his house.
The poor king found a tiger in his bed.
Tiger in my bed? Tiger in my bed?
The poor king found a tiger in his bed. And what do you think he did?
Uh-oh. So yeah, the Wiggles go bananas. Better than Let's Eat, but not by a whole lot. Number 29, Getting Strong. This one's actually pretty okay. Most of the songs are pretty solid, like the titular Getting Strong song, Smell Your Way for Today, or the Sporting Salsa.
Let's all do the sporting salsa. Turn around and do the sporting salsa. Let's all do the sporting salsa. Let's get a heartbeat up.
So you're probably wondering why it's so low then. Well, that's simply because there's just way too many skits between the songs. It makes it feel more like just two TV episodes stuck together instead of just a single video. You have the musical cushions game where Sam's a prankster and hides one of the cushions, even though that's just how musical chairs works. You also have this weird recurring segment where Captain disguises himself as various things and Anthony scolds him. The first time he's dressed as a ballerina, it's like, okay, Anthony's just sexist and thinks that men can't be ballerinas. Even though in the very next scene, Anthony has no problem doing a ballet with Dorothy. Then he disguises himself as a guitar player and Anthony gets mad at him and it's just like, why can't Captain play the guitar? Then he gets mad at him for disguising as a cow, even though the other two cows are also just people in costumes, and it's just like, what did Captain Fisher do to Anthony? Did he tickle him without his consent or something?
Please, no more tickling.
Okay, no more tickling, Greg.
Thank you very much. Now, it's a very special time right now, everyone.
And again, they treat Henry like crap. First they give him these disgusting purple hands, which are just like, ugh, what happened to his shoes? And throughout the first half, he's eerily silent, even when it makes no sense for him not to be talking.
Henry, why don't you take this end of the rope, and we'll see if all three of us can jump it.
Then he gets excluded from their ball game later on. And then when he does talk later in the video, he's voiced by Paul Paddock, aka Captain Feathersword, not Jeff. And his impression is...
I have the biggest smile of all.
yeah. We also have talking wags in this video.
I like games.
Ugh. We also find out in this video that Captain Feathersword can barely read.
What does this one say?
Well, I'm not sure what that word says, Sam.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
But yeah, getting strong. Not that bad, but not that good either. Number 28, Surfer Jeff. So this is the final video with the original lineup, Greg, Murray, Anthony, and Jeff. After this, Greg, Murray, and Jeff would get replaced by these stupid guys. Though in the case of Greg, he hadn't been there since Racing to the Rainbow. But yeah, as a send-off, it's pretty okay. So basically, the plot is that the Wiggles find a magic bottle at Wiggle Bay. Even though it's clearly not Wiggle Bay, they just say it's Wiggle Bay, but whatever. And Jeff decides to rub the bottle, and out comes Gino the Genie, who looks pretty familiar. Oh, that's right. He's one of the Gremlins from Woohoo Wiggly Gremlins. What is he doing here? And he was also Ringo the Ringmaster. And now Jeff has 3 wishes and he uses them to travel around the world. In terms of songs, it's pretty mixed. Some of them are good, like the titular Surfer Jeff song, though some of Greg's singing is a little bit weird.
Everybody knows it's Surfer Jeff.
There's also Dancing Mini Foxy Puppies.
Puppies. Oh, we got mini foxy puppies. Dancing mini foxy.
And my favorite is probably Olive Oil Is My Secret.
Olive oil is my secret. Olive oil is my secret.
Though it's kinda confusing, since if olive oil is his secret, then why is he singing out loud about it? I mean, in Cold Spaghetti Western, it was so secretive that he couldn't even tell the Wiggles about it. He had to draw it.
I can never say the word. It will never pass my lips.
Maybe if you draw it.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
But then of course you've got just some forgettable songs. Ooey Ooey Allergies is just straight up terrible, with a really annoying and repetitive chorus. We also find out in this video that Anthony's apparently allergic to peanut butter, which is hilariously retconned in the very next video, Taken Off, where Anthony's seen eating peanut butter. Or maybe those new Wiggles just decided to poison him. And I guess speaking of peanut butter, the peanut butter song in this video has some really good ASMR.
Yeah, it's sticky. Oh, it's gooey.
There's this funny part at the beginning where Murray flubs his line and they just decided to leave it in.
Do you like traveling? You know, going somewhere special?
There's this annoying seesaw running gag.
I'm Captain Feathersword, the friendly pirate, and you won't believe what I just saw!
What did you just saw?
Sea!
So.
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 Sea!
And there's also this very suspicious woman in the background of a couple songs. I'm starting to have a hard time coming up with unique endings for these reviews, so yeah, Surfer Jeff, it's pretty okay. Number 27, Sailing Around the World. This one's kind of similar to Getting Strong, where the songs are all pretty good, it's just there's way too many skits, and they're all about Captain Feathersword and his crew, which gets really repetitive. You know, I like Captain's crew, Ben Murray is amazing. Though this is before they really had established personalities, so he sadly doesn't have that Outback hat. And speaking of Captain Feathersword's crew, there are these 2 crewmates who appear in the background that just never say anything, even when it makes no sense for them not to. At one point they're talking about the Olympics, or as Captain Feathersword calls it,
Olympics!
And Captain Feathersword assigns his whole crew Olympic challenges to do, except for this random poor mustache guy in the background. What the heck? Oh, and this is also the first video to have wiggly animations, which are always extremely cursed.
Here come a chicken, here come a chicken, chicken down the road. Here come a chicken, here come a chicken, chicken down the road.
We also find out in this video that apparently Captain Feathersword's sword doubles as a phone, so you know, that's cool. We also see that Henry and Dorothy can't put their elbows together since, you know, they can probably barely move in those frickin' costumes. Oh, and there's also this funny part. Again, I'm having a bit of a hard time closing out all of these, but yeah, Sailing Around the World, pretty good songs, so I don't think I've named any of them yet. But yeah, you know, you've got the titular Sailing Around the World song, that one's good, Captain's Wavy Walk, the Athens song, all that good stuff. But again, it gets held back just because there's way too many Captain Fed Sword skits. Number 26, Splish Splash Big Red Boat. This one's just kind of a collection of random wiggly nonsense. All of these songs have been heard before in previous videos, with the exception of Little Brown Ant, but even then that just comes from Here Comes the Song, which was their second album. And I guess on that note, Murray, Jeff, and Anthony's backing vocals sound strangely feminine during the song. I wonder why.
Little brown ant, working so hard.
And of course, there's a titular Big Red Boat song, which is the only original song in this video. And you know, all these songs are good, it's just most of them we've all heard before. And of course, a few skits thrown in there. This is when Captain's crew was in their prime. A lot of the classic crewmates like Benny Bandicoot, Dave, Cool Clarky, Gallant George, Ada the Acrobat, Eleftherius, St. Alfonso, and I guess there's also the girls. They never really gave them much in terms of personalities. I guess one of them's a cowgirl. We also learned in this one skit that Wags apparently has his own store, so good on him, even though I still wish he wouldn't talk.
Very funny, Anthony!
And we find out that Wiggletown or Wiggles World or whatever, their currency is Wiggly coins, which is like, why is everything the Wiggles? Are the Wiggles the leaders of the world or town or whatever? This is also the video where we meet the Mariachi Wiggles, who are, well, they sing the Wiggle songs in Spanish and are just the regular Wiggles Wiggly animation models, except with mustaches and mariachi outfits. What's interesting is that the audio is from the Latin American Wiggles, who had their own versions of the Wiggly animations, which makes me wonder why they didn't just use those. Okay, never mind, these are somehow even more cursed than the regular ones. You also gotta love how in this video that has both the song Dressing Up and the song Hats, there's a scene early on where they're also talking about wearing hats, and yet the song they play is Dressing Up, not Hats. I also love how you can see the edge of the Big Red Boat text during the opening credits before it's even supposed to come in, and how at one point the end credits get stuck. Before eventually, I guess whoever edited this finally realized this and decided to remove it.
How embarrassing!
But yeah, Splish Splash Big Red Boat is...
Okay!
Moving on, we've got number 25, Here Comes the Big Red Car. This video is a remake of the 1995 video of Big Red Car, which we'll be talking about in, well, probably quite a while since I put it pretty high up, but yeah, this is a remake of that. It has pretty much all the same songs from that video, except for some reason they decided to exclude On Your Holiday, which is just like, why? That was one of my favorite songs from the original video. And of course, they've also got a few new songs, you know, you've got Sorry Again and
I Want to Wear the Hat!
Because of the Captain Fedasaurus segments, and they also have the lyrical version of Henry's Dance. And, you know, since they're pretty much all the same songs, all the songs are pretty good. It's just, I don't think it nearly has the same charm as the original. You know, the original, it was one of their very early ones, meaning it was really low budget, but that kind of added to the charm of it. With this one, it's not even that it has a high budget, it just has a higher budget. It relies way too much on green screens, which is something they did a lot later in the Greg era, and especially in the Sam era. And I just really prefer when they make actual sets instead of just green screening everything. You know, you got the part where it's just a bunch of dancing furries in bed, like what the frick. And then Jeff suddenly possesses a cow and Murray milks it.
I eat grass and I moo all day, I'm a cow.
And then of course you have Admiral Goodbloke in his amazing jacket. He really is a good bloke.
He really is a good bloke.
And then for some reason Captain Fedasaur keeps forgetting Jeff, and it's like, how disrespectful.
Oh, Anthony!
And Jeff.
And then in another skit, everybody keeps killing Captain Fedasaur. And look, here Captain Fedasaur just ruins Alfonso's cooking by sticking his finger in it. That's disgusting. So yeah, that's Here Comes the Red Car. Like I said, it's basically all the same songs from the originals, so the songs are basically all good. It's just I don't think it nearly has the same charm in terms of presentation. Number 24, Sing a Song of Wiggles. This one just kind of feels like Pop Goes the Wiggles 2. It's like all the nursery rhymes that were left over from that one, they just decided to put in here. They even do the thing where they have a recurring nursery rhyme that plays several times throughout the video, just with a different variation each time. And at one point they have a little story that they tell in the video, and even the ending medley is comprised of nursery rhymes that were featured in Pop Goes the Wiggles. I guess around this time the Wiggles forgot how to write their own original songs, since both this, Pop Goes the Wiggles, and You Make Me Feel Like Dancing are mostly comprised of public domain songs. The release You Make Me Feel Like Dancing had a few originals. Both this and Pop Goes the Wiggles are just entirely comprised of public domain nursery rhymes. Okay, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. These are all good renditions of these classic nursery rhymes. It's just, like I said, it feels like just kind of doing the same thing that Pop Goes the Wiggles did. And this is usually when I just point out some stupid stuff. So, look, here Dorothy and Sam are flirting. Isn't that funny? Haha.
Here's the handsome prince now.
Greetings, fair dinosaur.
Greetings to you, kind sir.
We also get to see Fernando Jr. all grown up, which is crazy. I remember back in Hoop-De-Doo when he was just a little boy. And, wait a minute, look at this. What is that witchcraft? And then they start singing about dancing with their mother-in-law. Okay, that's not really what the song's about. It's about a turkey and a straw, but it's still pretty weird that they keep singing about dancing with their mother-in-law. And you know, I've never really understood Rock-A-Bye Baby. I mean, the song is literally about a baby falling out of a tree. That's not very soothing. Oh, okay, apparently the baby refers to the son of King James II of England. Okay, that makes sense. Not really. But wait a minute, does that mean that Sam is actually King James II?
Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory, and today we're gonna be doing a theory on quite possibly the greatest rock band of all time, the Wiggles. So grab yourself some hot potatoes and some fruit salad, because today we're uncovering how Sam Wiggle could actually be King James II. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Sam Wiggle is actually King James II. How is that possible? I mean, Sam was born in 1978, 277 years after King James died, and in an entirely different continent nonetheless. Well, that's what I thought too, that is until I watched the Wiggles 2008 video release, Sing a Song of Wiggles, which if you haven't watched, I highly recommend you do. It's really good. At first, everything seemed normal, that is until 21 minutes and 50 seconds in when they started singing Rock-A-Bye Baby, which if you don't know, is actually about the son of King James II, and as you can see, Sam plays the baby's father, meaning that he is in fact King James II. But how can they be the same person? Well, my dear viewers, Sam has shown himself to be a master of disguise, disguising himself as other people, like Professor Singalonasanya, and even a British person, as he pretended to be a British member of Captain Feathersword's crew named Dapper Dave, meaning that clearly King James II faked his death, moved to Australia, and eventually changed his name Sam Wiggle. But hey, that's just a theory. Game theory. Tune in next time when I prove that Steve from Blue's Clues is actually Queen Elizabeth.
Well, that was weird. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, Sing a Song of Wiggles. It's pretty okay. Number 23, it's time to wake up Jeff. Or as we for some reason decided to call in the US, Wiggle Around the Clock. Basically everything I said about Here Comes the Big Red Car applies here. It's a remake of an older video with basically all the same songs, a slightly higher budget, though not as much charm, and it's over-reliant on green screens. Though I do prefer this one over Here Comes the Big Red Car by just a little bit, if you couldn't tell by it being ranked higher. They actually incorporate a few songs that were only on the original Wake Up Jeff album, which is pretty cool even if they're done in Wiggly animation, which, I'll say again, is extremely cursed. Oh, and they also give the same treatment to Henry's Underwater Big Band, because I guess creating actual physical props and sets is just too hard. They also added Walkin' on the Moon from the Top of the Tots album, which, since it's from the Top of the Tots, is a great song. Oh crap, I just spoiled the list again!
Walking on the moon, walking on the moon, bouncing oh so high.
Oh, and by the way, Anthony, when are you going to release the NASA special, okay? You said you were going to release it on Twitter back in August. It's been over 6 months. When are you going to release it? We know you have it, okay? Just release it already. Who am I kidding? He's not going to see this video. And of course, you have a couple Captain Feathersword segments. The first one just leads into Bing Bang Pong, but the second one does the whole character thinks everyone forgot their birthday, but they're actually throwing a surprise party plot that I swear every kid show is legally obligated to do. Even the Wiggles did it before in their theatrical movie. Every time I see this spot, I'm wondering why they don't just pretend that they're not throwing a party, instead of pretending to forget their birthday altogether. I mean, sure, they'd still be sad, but they wouldn't be as sad. Oh, and I guess I should also mention that this segment is actually adapted from a track on the Wiggles album, The Adventures of Captain Feathersword, the Friendly Pirate. Number 22, Space Dancing. I already did a full review of this one a while back, so I'll keep it brief. The story is pretty basic, but the animation is just... Okay, maybe I've overused that sound effect, but you know what I mean. The animation is just hideous. Some of the voice acting is also pretty weird.
Upside down, well, this way, trip.
But the songs are all as good as usual, with the exception of Eagle Rock. And Captain Fiddlesword is an idiot who causes every problem, which, as you'll see, is a bit of a recurrent theme in the Wiggles videos. And now, with all these mediocre videos out of the way, you can finally get into the videos that I actually consider good. We're not quite at the great ones yet, that'll take a little while, but still pretty good. Number 21, Hot Poppin' Popcorn. Like I said, this is the first one that I'd say is pretty good. Most of the songs are pretty good, though I wouldn't really say any of them are great, except for maybe the titular Hot Poppin' Popcorn song. On an overall Wiggles song ranking, I'd probably put most of these in B tier. And of course, we've got a few C tiers in there. That trapeze song is kinda weird.
See the girls on the trapeze, sitting close.
I was happy to finally see an actual set after so much green screen. As you guys know, green screens really trigger me. At one point, Jeff is asleep inside a ring. I guess everywhere else, everyone was just waking him up, so he thought that'd be a good place to get some peace and quiet. But no, they have to wake him up as usual. Literally nowhere is safe. Seriously, just let the man rest. And I guess the Wiggles just forgot how to wake him up because they try a bunch of different weird methods before finally doing their usual of yelling out, "Wake up, Jeff." We also get the grand return, or not so grand return, of Food Man, who, yeah, he really let himself go. Seriously, what happened to his sweet golden locks? We also finally get to find out what Bree-bot means.
Break up, everyone! That's hi in my Octopulian language!
It means hi. Okay, that probably should have been really obvious, but whatever. Oh, and apparently Henry has an entire octopus language that we just never knew about until now. Well, that's pretty much all I have to say. I think it's time for this Wiggly circus to end. Number 20, It's Always Christmas With You. Again, pretty good, but not as good as their other Christmas videos. Like the rest of their Christmas videos, it's got a nice mix of Christmas classics and original Christmas songs. And also like their other Christmas videos, it includes several songs about the Nativity, which, you know, isn't super common to see in kids that aren't specifically Christian. And it means that Jesus is canon in the Wiggles universe. Though, as you'll see later, this actually becomes pretty confusing. It also means that the word virgin is in a Wiggles video.
He married Virgin Mary, the Queen of Galilee.
Let's see what I can do with this. Haha, I'm so mature. But yeah, all the renditions of Christmas classics are good. I mean, the 12 Days of Christmas is annoying, but they didn't write the song, so I can't exactly fault them for that. Though we do learn it's apparently Henry's favorite Christmas song, which makes him the only person in the world who would ever say that.
What's your favourite Christmas song?
Oh, Murray, I love the 12 Days of Christmas.
Oh, that's right, Jeff actually returned to voicing Henry in this one after a long hiatus after Racing to the Rainbow. And he also voices Wag, so he seems to be struggling to actually speak English in his voice.
All around me are familiar faces.
I also love how in this song, Anthony just becomes progressively more fed up with Captain Feathersword. As for the original songs, It's Always Christmas With You, It's a Long Way from the North Pole, and A Miracle in a Manger are all pretty good, except in the latter, I still don't like Dorothy's vocals. The turkey jumps right out of the pie is okay, though it brings up some questions about Captain Feathersword's family. I mean, in the Series 2 episode Family, Captain Feathersword gets a gift from his pirate parents, and we even get a flashback of them with him when he was a baby, and he shows pictures of them at the end, and they're clearly not these country folks. So at some point, Captain must have been adopted by these country folks. Also, did Captain Feathersword not actually lose an eye? Because during Jingle Bell Rock, we'd see that he has no eye patch, and his eye is just fine. Then again, I'm not exactly sure how he would have lost that eye, so I guess he just wears it to make himself look cool. I love I Just Can't Sleep on Christmas Eve because again, Jeff is my favorite Wiggle and it's another Jeff solo.
I feel really tired, but I just can't sleep this special night.
10 out of 10, perfection. And Will You Dance With Me Around the Christmas Tree is not very good.
Dorothy, do you see the twinkling lights? Dorothy, twinkling on this Christmas night.
But overall, a pretty solid video, even if I don't think it's one of the absolute best. Number 19, Ukulele Baby. Again, pretty good video, mostly good songs, a few mediocre ones, Dorothy's voice is still bad. Seriously, why is it so high-pitched? And I also just don't know what they were going for with that do song. I guess it's also worth noting that in the Australian version, they have a guy named Daryl Summers come on and sing a song called Hey Hey It's Saturday. But since no one outside Australia would know who that is, in America, we got Al Roker. And I wouldn't blame you if you don't know who he is either, but basically he's the weatherman for the Today Show. And in my opinion, the song that they got him to sing is a lot better than the song that they got the Australian guy to sing.
Here comes the weatherman.
And because of the beach setting, a lot of the songs have this nice tropical sound to them. Apparently, Murray doesn't know how many fingers people have. He had to count it out.
I wonder how many fingers there are. Let's count them.
You stupid.
And I'm sure that I'm Waving D worked a lot better on the album, since that's just an audio thing. While in the video, it's just like, why are you telling us what you're doing? We can clearly see it. And how come in this scene with Anthony and Rolf Harris are both taller than the buildings behind them? Oh yeah, I guess that brings us to the elephant in the room. Both this and It's a Wiggly Wiggly World feature Australian musician Rolf Harris, who has done some not so good things, which has understandably led to his appearances being cut from later versions of these albums and videos. Well, that's pretty lame. Hey, watch this clip of Captain Feathersword carrying Henry. Isn't that so wacky and silly? Number 18, You Make Me Feel Like Dancing. This is another one that's just mostly traditional songs, with only 7 out of 20 of them being originals. And again, all the renditions of traditional songs are good, though Dr. Knickerbocker is one of those children's songs where they add on an extra thing each verse and it gets really repetitive. And I also really don't like that cat song. It's really not my cup of tea. Though I do appreciate that they have a King Mondo poster and a Hot Potato Studios sign in the background. Also, I kept count, and this was the 5th time that we saw Anthony dressed as a cat, and all 4 previous times came from the video before this Pop Goes the Wiggles. Seriously, why is he dressed as a cat so much? And the 7 original songs are all pretty good, though most of them actually come from the Getting Strong album. And look, here's another instance of Sam hitting on Dorothy.
Dorothy, you're wearing a beautiful tutu.
Aw, thank you, Sam.
What's up with that? Oh, and here we see Anthony's son, baby Antonio, as the captain of a ship. And at one point, they give him terrifying, annoying orange-style lips. What's up with that? And then later, he plays a bus driver who keeps running people over. What's up with that?
What's up with that?
I really like the end messages they have with each of the Wiggles. They feel really nice and show just how much effort and care goes in each of these videos. And on that note, my ending message for this section of the video is that You Make Me Feel Like Dancing is pretty good. Number 17, Pop Go the Wiggles. Again, this video is entirely nursery rhymes, but I give it more credit than Sing a Song of Wiggles because it did it first. And yeah, these are all good renditions of classic nursery rhymes, most of which I'm sure you're familiar with. You know, you've got This Old Man, which has always been a really weird song to me. Like, what does it mean to play knick-knack, and why is he doing it on their thumb and other things? And how come he goes rolling home after they give a dog a bone with a knick-knack paddywhack? Unless knick-knack is actually code for some violent crime. And the reason that they give a dog a bone is because knick-knack paddywhack actually means that they're sicking the dogs on him. And that's why he goes rolling home, it's because he's injured. It all makes sense now. Oh wait, no, apparently it was just a song made by British people to make fun of poor Irish people after the potato famine. What's with all these old nursery rhymes having dark origins? And then you have Murray Had a Turtle, where Murray has a turtle who one day drinks up all the bathwater and eats up all the soap. And then Murray has to call the doctor or nurse, and some random lady would poke it out of the purse. And then they come in, they don't even say anything. They're just like, oh, that's interesting, and they leave. We never get to know what happens to Turtle. Is he sick or not? What's going on?
You can't just start a song and leave it hanging like that!
He drank up the doctor, he ate up the nurse, he tried to eat the baby with the polka dotted purse, but it wouldn't fit down his throat.
I apologize for that.
There was also round the garden like a teddy bear.
Round and round the garden like a teddy bear. 1 step, 2 step, tickly under there!
And then you have Seesaw Marjorie Doll, which is apparently a song that was created to make fun of poor child workers in the Victorian era.
Seesaw Marjorie Doll, Jackie shall have a new master. He shall have but a penny a day, because he can't work any faster.
Dear God, England. First we have a song making fun of poor Irish people, now we have a song making fun of poor child workers? Frickin' brutal. And in Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, all of the Wiggles and their friends have somehow managed to sit on the stars, with Sam sitting on the moon, and he sits on it as if it was an actual crescent. And we can somehow all see them from Earth, and also they're somehow not burning up, considering that they're sitting on literal stars. How powerful are the Wiggles? And just like that, I'm done with all the Sam videos. I realize that I'm probably going to seem extremely biased towards Greg since all the Sam videos are in the lower half, so sorry to all you die-hard Sam fans in the audience. Number 16, Wiggly Safari featuring Steve Irwin, let's go! Truly the greatest crossover in Australian history. Some of these songs are really good. Of course, you got the Crocodile Hunter song and Do the Owl. Those ones are really good. A lot of them I'd put in the category of good, but not great. And then you have a couple of them like Cocky Wanna Cracker, which just no.
Cocky Wanna Cracker! Cocky Wanna Cracker!
But of course, it has a lot of charm, which mostly just comes from the fact that it is the Wiggles and Steve Irwin together. And of course, Koala Lala is also amazing because, you know, it's Jeff and a bunch of koalas. I don't think it gets much better than that. The plot is that the Wiggles are lost driving through the Australian bush, and then Steve Irwin just kind of shows up and takes them to an Australian zoo, and any sort of story is abandoned at that point, just sing songs about animals. Which I don't really mind. We find out in this video that apparently Captain Feathersword can control the weather simply with his own imagination.
There's also pretend rain.
Oh yeah, pretend rain. Rain, it's here, come.
Pretend rain.
Captain, it's raining on me.
Oh.
Number 15, Cold Spaghetti Western. In this one, the Wiggles are suddenly cowboys for some reason, living in Wiggly Homestead, and they have to help the chef Alfonso find his secret ingredient for his Masta Pasta, so we can win the Great Country Cook-Off. You might remember how I mentioned this video, 27 minutes ago at this point? Yeah, this video turned out to be a pretty long one, as you probably already know since you can actually see how long it is. What did I have to say about it again? In Cold Spaghetti Western, it was so secretive that he couldn't even tell the Wiggles about it. He had to draw it.
I can never say the word. It will never pass my lips.
Maybe if you draw it.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Oh yeah, that is pretty dumb, isn't it? In terms of Wiggles' stories, it's a bit more focused in, say, Wiggle Bay, where the Wiggles get stranded on a beach, but then most of it's just them singing songs rather than actually trying to find a way home. But still, some of the songs feel like they're just distracting from the plot rather than moving it forward. But the songs themselves, like Let's Go to the Great Western Cafe, Food Man, and the Masta Pasta Maker, are all still great. I like the little detail of the Wiggles having bananas in their holsters instead of guns. That's a nice touch. Murray's an inventor, which is a trait that is only ever brought up in this video and never again. You also gotta love how there's just this random Australian girl that tags along with the Wiggles' Mexican friends. Okay, well, she's not actually just some random girl since she's actually Anthony's niece and she shows up in several other videos, but whatever. And she doesn't even attempt a Mexican accent.
Ducks, donkeys, horses. Horses, donkeys, ducks. This is what we do.
Then again, it's actually probably for the best. Also, watch this clip.
Hello? 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 Anybody there? Anybody there? Anybody there?
No! No! No!
Huh?
Seriously, who the heck was that? This video also guest stars Food Man, the greatest superhero of all time, who also may or may not be a figment of Anthony's imagination. It's kind of confusing. He first appears in a Series 1 episode where he's Anthony's superhero alter ego, but in this one he acts as sort of a conscience for Anthony, giving him guidance. And nobody else can see him and just assumes that he's a figment of Anthony's imagination. That is until the very end when the other Wiggles do see him, which means that he has to be real, right? But how? Is he like Anthony's guardian angel or something? But I think it's about time that I talk about something that you've probably been wondering about. Alfonso, what's up with him? He appears in several Wiggles videos, but each time his role is different. Well, my friends, it took me hours, but I finally managed to piece together a full Alfonso Rinaldi timeline. But instead of explaining it myself, why don't I let my friend MatPat explain it?
Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory! And get ready to wiggle because today we're doing another theory on the Wiggles. In our last theory, we uncovered how some Wiggle is actually King James II, but today we're going to be talking about a much more obscure Wiggles character, the master pasta maker himself, Alfonso Rinaldi. This is the full Alfonso timeline. Alfonso was born August 2nd, 1961, and would first appear in the Wiggles universe on October 13th of 2003 in Series 3, Episode 19, where he just helps some kids make some fruit salad. Nothing interesting here, but then in the 2004 video release called Span Western, we find out he has a cape called the Great Western Cape in Somersby, New South Wales, Australia, but his restaurant isn't doing too well after he ran out of his secret ingredient for his master pasta, but luckily the Wiggles are able to get more of it. But he must have ran out of it again, because next time we see him, he's working for Captain Feathersword, meaning that between cold Span Western and sailing around the world, he must have run out of his secret ingredient again, and this time he wasn't able to get more, leading to the Great Western Cape shutting down. With an hour left to go, Alfonso had no choice but to become Captain Feathersword's chef. So sad, we see Alfonso working for Captain Feathersword up until Racing to the Rainbow, and after that he mysteriously disappeared along with many other crew members. In Racing to the Rainbow, only 5 out of 12 of Captain's crew members from Series 4 and 5 are prisoned, with the rest being replaced by newbies. And in the next Wiggles video, Getting Strong, none of Captain's former crew members are prisoned, and after that, Captain's crew would disappear entirely. And this isn't even the first time Captain has had to replace his crew. In the 1993 album, The Adventures of Captain Feathersword, the friendly pirate captain's crew consists of only 3 people: Raj, Penelope, and Imran.
Oh, of course I'll teach you a pirate dance. But I need my friendly pirate mates to help me do it. Raj, Imran, Penelope, come over here and help me sing and dance.
But then in the Wiggles movie, he has 12 crew members, and those 3 are nowhere to be seen. But then in Series 2, he has only 4 crew members, none of which had been seen before, and only 1 of them would be seen again. Now, I actually have a theory that the original Captain Feathersword scene from 1993 to 1995 is a different Captain Feathersword from the one seen from 1995 onward. Maybe there's some sort of split timeline going on, but that's a theory for another day. Regardless, it's clear that Captain Feathersword can keep a crew, and it's not really that hard to see why Captain seems like he'd be unbearable to work for. I mean, in Racing to the Rainbow, he literally nearly gets them all killed in a storm. He's impulsive.
What's this button for?
Irresponsible.
I forgot to tie up the boat, and now it's drifted out to sea!
Overconfident.
But be careful, Captain, for where there's a rainbow, close by, there's often a fierce storm.
A fierce storm? Oh, thank you, Magdalena. But be assured, the SS Feathersword is safe under my expert guidance.
Might try to steal your food. And he isn't above sexual harassment either, as he's been seen tickling people without their consent.
Please, no more tickling.
Okay, no more tickling, Greg.
Thank you very much. Now, it's a very special time right now, everyone.
Let's just say I would be surprised if he was getting a little too handsy with his female crewmates, and then for his male crewmates, we don't assume things on this show. And sometimes he's just downright stupid.
Anthony says, do it.
Okay.
More than likely, Alfonso just got fed up with working for Captain and left in search of a better life. Did a better life he got, as in the 2012 video release Surfer Jeff, Alfonso appears to have moved back to Italy and started a new restaurant where he can sell his master pasta, having all the olive oil he needs, and now Captain has to cook for himself, as seen in the 2010 release Let's Eat, a consequence of his poor leadership, but hey, that's just a theory. Game theory, back to you, Cartoon Koala.
Number 14, Wiggle Time, both the original 1993 version and the 1998 remake, since they're pretty much equal in my eyes. The 1993 version was the first Wiggles video release ever, and the 1998 version is basically just the same, except, they got a higher budget, they got, the more iconic clothing, except thankfully there aren't any green screens. Amazing. Just good old sets. Though the set that they use for most of it is this set that is just a sky with clouds on it, which makes me wonder, since, clouds are usually meant to represent heaven, does this mean that the Wiggles are in heaven in this video, and this is after they died? Actually, no, I think this fits into Matt, Pat, and I's split timeline theory. Since literally everything that happens in the original just happens again in this one, except we have Paul Paddock as Captain Feathersword. That means that after the timeline split, the Wiggles were probably sent to some purgatory where they just had to relive their past moments until the timeline was fixed. And finally, we got the original Captain Feathersword timeline and the timeline with the incarnation of Captain Feathersword that we all recognize. It also explains why Dorothy turns 5 again in this video, even though she had already turned 5 in the 1993 version, and why this account of her 5th birthday is completely different from the account seen in the original version. Though these two instances wouldn't be the only times we see Dorothy turn 5, so take that as you will. The 1998 version has also got a couple new songs, like Quack Quack, which tells the story of how one day Captain Feathersword fell asleep on his pirate ship and then miraculously woke up on a farm, and now he has an identity crisis, thinking that he's some sort of rooster or a duck, or maybe both. There's also ponies. And they also added some concert footage at the end, which actually has a pretty entertaining bit of Captain Feathersword crying over the 5 Little Ducks song. Though it's mostly entertaining due to Murray's reactions, and because you can tell that Paul Paddock is having a hard time not laughing.
Lots of tears, Captain.
I realize that I've been talking a lot more about the 1998 version than the 1993 version, so, the 1993 version and the 1998 version have pretty much the same songs, and they're all pretty good, including some of their most famous ones. And the original, being their first video ever, has very low production value. They don't actually have their iconic uniforms yet, though at this point they had started wearing their iconic colors, with the exception of Anthony, who's sporting a green polo shirt. And Jeff actually has a Felix the Cat belt buckle in this video. We've also got the weird old Dorothy and Henry costumes. And as I've mentioned, we have Anthony as Captain Feathersword, and they make it pretty obvious when Anthony just mysteriously disappears so Captain Feathersword can come in, or in Here Comes a Bear. And you've also got to appreciate it that these sets, yeah, they were hand-painted by Greg and Jeff. Yes, they actually went through the trouble of painting the sets by hand. I don't know what they were thinking, I don't know why they didn't just buy a green board or whatever, but no, they were dedicated. They went through the trouble of painting the entire set by hand. Also, as a comparison point, Jeff's freak out after being woken up is nowhere near as good in the remake as it is in the original.
Wake up, Jeff!
And neither is the Noah's Ark music video. I mean, the original has so much going on. You've all the animal costumes and puppets, Jeff dressed as Noah, the cardboard ark, an actual set of the ark, Dorothy's running around, definitely haven't seen better days. So what's the 1998 version like now that they have a higher budget? It's just the Wiggles dancing around on some hay. Woo. Number 13, woohoo, Wiggly Gremlins. This is another video that actually has a bit of a plot. Basically, the story is that the Wiggles have their own TV studio called Network Wiggles, but there are these two gremlins that are causing trouble. But it's okay, because in the end, it turns out that it was all just special effects.
Oh, so so I didn't really disappear.
Of course not. It just looked as if you did.
But no, these strange occurrences very clearly weren't just special effects, because the Wiggles and other characters were seeing them happen in real life. Meaning that unless the Wiggles and the Gremlins have become so self-aware of their position as fictional characters that they are able to transcend the video and become the editors of the video that they are characters in, which would give them unimaginable amounts of power, these aren't just special effects. Okay, well the story might be lacking, but as usual, the soundtrack makes up for it. Lights, camera, action, hats, dressing up. There's this one scene where the Wiggles are talking on the phone and it's all sped up and stuff, and I tried to slow it down to see if I could hear what they were actually saying, but I could still barely decipher it. Take a listen and maybe you can tell me what you think they're saying.
Has some stickers of yours to get educated? Not like it. 14
Oh, good call.
years ago. No, 15. City ran a good-looking dentist out of town. An old man city ran a good-looking dentist out of town.
I see.
It was only yesterday. This little girl in pigtails killed on it.
Maybe it could push it.
Running after her heel. Under her cheek.
Seriously, what are they saying? And for that matter, where does the audio even come from? Also, why does Network Wiggles employ child labor? That's not very cool. This video also includes one of the most embarrassing mistakes in any Wiggles video. I'll just play the clip and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Lights, camera, action!
Well,
You might not notice it if you don't know what you're looking for, but during this wide shot, the heads on the costume characters have been taken off. Pretty disturbing if you ask me. What's even more baffling is that later when they reuse this same wide shot, they actually Photoshop the heads back onto the characters. Though it still doesn't really work because first of all, it's just a terrible Photoshop job, and second of all, you can still see Henry's head on the floor. Also, it's still continuity error since Wags isn't here, and also they're clearly in a different area from where they were in the close-up shot. Also, Captain Feathersword calls a hurricane a Willy Willy, which really puts a smile on my face.
And then she was in a Willy Willy?
Willy Willy?
Yeah!
Number 12, Wiggle Bay. The plot of this one is that the Wiggles are visiting Wiggle Bay. But Captain Feathersword is an idiot and forgets to tie up their rowboat, so now it's drifted off the sea and they're stranded on the beach.
I forgot to tie up the boat, and now it's drifted out to sea!
Seriously, why do the Wiggles keep this guy around? And instead of focusing on the Wiggles trying to survive on the island or find a way home, it's mostly just them derping around on the island, singing some songs, and oh, King Neptune found their boat and they can go home now. Oh yeah, and remember about 25 minutes ago when I said how Jesus existed in the Wiggles universe would actually make things confusing later on? And it means that Jesus is canon in the Wiggles universe. Though, as you'll see later, this actually becomes pretty confusing. Well, we finally made it to the payoff of that joke. The joke is, how can King Neptune, a Roman god, exist in the Wiggles universe if they also have Jesus, who in Christianity was also God? Is there some weird pantheon in the Wiggles universe?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
Also, maybe it's a good thing they didn't focus on the Wiggles trying to get home, because then it probably would have ended very quickly, considering that you can clearly see some houses nearby. Okay, again, the story's very weak, but again, the songs are great. The Wiggle Bass song, Dancing in the Sand, Swim Like a Fish. They almost make you forget that the Wiggles are stranded on a beach miles and miles away from home because Captain Feathersword forgot to tie up their boat.
Yeah!
This video also formally introduces us to Wiggle Time, which is a concept where the Wiggles use super speed whenever there's a task that they want to finish quickly. Also, not so fun fact, Daphne was actually in pain while filming some of the scenes because the salt water got into his mouth and irritated his gums. Yeah, being a Wiggle isn't as easy as it looks. You've also gotta love how in this scene where they're digging for treasure, Captain Feathersword isn't even involved, even though he's a literal freaking pirate. You'd think he'd have some experience. Number 11, Yummy Yummy, again, both the original and the 1998 remake. Most of the comparisons that I made between the original Wiggle Time and the remake can be made here. The remake is basically just the original, but with a higher budget. But this is higher than Wiggle Time because I prefer these songs over the ones in Wiggle Time. And of course there's a couple new songs. We have Popper Billies and Avunu Shalom Aleichem. The remake also has Fruit Salad, which was for some reason originally in Wiggle Time, not Yummy Yummy, even though it makes more sense to be in Yummy Yummy. Well, it's time to stop avoiding the inevitable. Let's talk about the Wiggles puppets.
Can you point
your fingers into the twist?
So, for some background, these things were originally included in the Dorothy the Dinosaur and Friends video in Australia, which again is not included in this ranking. However, they did make their way to the US in the US release of Yummy Yummy, where two of their skits replaced Teddy Bear Hug and Numbers Rumba. And yeah, they're pretty terrifying. But besides that potential nightmare fuel, both versions of Yummy Yummy are pretty good. Well, we've made it. We're finally entering the top 10. If you've made it this far into the video, then I seriously thank you. As always, if you like what you see, like and subscribe. I also want to stress that even though I've been nitpicking and making fun at these videos, I still do enjoy them. Well, all the ones that I've labeled good. Anyways, on to number 10, Santa's Rockin'. This is another Christmas video, and like all the rest, it just has this nice Christmas feeling to it. As usual, it's got a nice mix of Christmas classics and Wiggly originals, like Captain Pedasword's Christmas Dance, Ring-a-Ding-a-Ding-Dong, and Great Big Man in Red. And most of the jokes that I could make about it, I already made in my YouTube poop of it.
Hey everybody, it's that time of year. Time to dance and let out a cheer. Christmas sounds are everywhere.
So, all I'll add is that this shot of Dorothy makes me feel extremely uncomfortable, and I can't believe I didn't bring it up in my YouTube poop. Number 9, Wake Up Jeff. This is a pretty early one. It brings us another one of the Wiggles' most embarrassing mistakes in the form of the cameraman literally walking into frame at one point. But again, the cheapness adds to the charm, and is the main reason that I have this ranked so much higher than its remake, It's Time to Wake Up Jeff. It's got pretty much all the same songs as that one, and yeah, they're pretty dang good. Of course, there's a titular Wake Up Jeff song, but you've also got Henry's Underwater Big Band, Wait to Wax, the 2 Dorothy songs, and more. Oh, and I guess I should mention that this is the video debut of Paul Paddock as Captain Pedasword. Can't imagine anybody else playing the part.
A bing bang bong! A bing bang bong? A ring rang wrong! A ring rang wrong?
Why are the fish during Henry's Underwater Big Band so big in comparison to the Wiggles? Did the Wiggles shrink themselves down, or are the fish really that humongous? Also, look at this! Greg just walks on water! Are they trying to imply that he's Jesus? Also, at one point, Jeff somehow got into a box and turned himself invisible, maybe hoping that he finally could get some sleep. But no, the Wiggles come in, hear him snoring, and Greg turns him uninvisible. It doesn't matter how hard he tries, these 3 are always going to be there to wake him up. And it ends up being for a number where literally all he has to do is sleep. And then they do a goodbye dance to wake him up. Also, look at Wag swiping Henry's shoes. What a good lad. Number 8, Big Red Car, as it was for some reason known in the US, Dance Party. I remember watching this one a lot on a VHS when I was little, so naturally I'm pretty nostalgic for it. Yeah, I for some reason had it on VHS, even though by the time I was born, VHS was already pretty much dead. I also watched its remake, Here Comes the Big Red Car, a lot when I was little, but this version is better in pretty much every way. Again, actual sets. Like, I know it feels like I've been saying this too much, but it really does go a long way. Though there are a few instances of green screen, and boy do they look terrible. It's kinda sad how their green screens never really improved between this and its remake over 10 years later. Throwing Hat on My Head in its introduction, it makes sense why they use it. It's to give a background that matches the scene. I really don't get why I was using the introduction for Georgia's song. It's just a solid yellow background, and they're all sitting on cushions. I don't know, did they just not have a set available? During the outro, it's pretty clear it's just because they weren't able to use the set from earlier, and it all just ends up making the Wiggles and the set look incredibly disproportionate to how they looked before. And of course, they had to use it during the Big Red Car song because there's no way they were going to be dropping this hunk of cardboard on the street. Dang, I would probably sound really negative, but I really want to stress that I like this video. And most of the videos on this list, despite how much I've been making fun of them. I know I already said that during the little intermission, but it's true. Yeah, it looks cheap, but come on, it was one of their early ones. They didn't have a budget. Even later on, they didn't seem to have that much of a budget. All these little quirks just add to the charm for me. And honestly, the reason I've been spending so much of this video nitpicking and poking fun at it is because if I didn't, I don't think I'd really have that much to say about these videos. A lot of these videos, including this one, don't even have stories, so my enjoyment of them mostly hinges on whether or not the songs are good. And most of them, including this one, do have good songs, but I feel like they get really repetitive if I said it over and over again. I mean, sure, I could analyze exactly why the music is good, but I'm not some music expert, I can't do that. But yeah, the songs are good. You've got Can You Point Your Fingers and Do the Twist, Wags the Dog, Big Red Car. We have another Jeff solo in the form of I'm a Cow.
I eat grass and I moo all day. I'm a cow. I'm a cow.
Just beautiful. You have On Your Holiday, which again was for some reason removed in the remake. Just a great video all around. Number 7, Wiggly Wiggly Christmas. Wow, another Christmas video, and it's not even our last one. We've still got one more to go, haha. Like Santa's Rockin', it just has that nice Christmas feeling to it. But this one's still pretty early on. This is the first video where we actually see the Wiggles in their finalized Wiggly uniforms. It's also the first one where the Wags, Dorothy, and Henry costumes don't look terrible. Just a nice, charming little Christmas video, perfect to watch during the Christmas season. I'm seriously running out of things to say about these videos. Number 6, we're going from one Christmas video to another, that's right. The Wiggles' best Christmas video is You'll Be Wiggling. Again, just has that nice Christmas atmosphere. But I think this one's my favorite just because I think it has the best songs. Just Can't Wait for Christmas Day, Here Come the Reindeer, and The World Is One. And the best one is obviously Decorate the Tree.
Now give 3 cheers, you must agree. Our gallant captain of the sea, he makes a colorful Christmas tree.
There's also Jimmy the Elf, which tells us the story of Jimmy, one of Santa's elf slaves who can't stop sneezing.
Jimmy the Elf.
Oh my god, it looks even worse than Space Dancing.
What is this? What is this?
Now we're entering the top 5. Ooh. Number 5, Raisins to the Rainbow. Probably the best story that the Wiggles ever did. Probably even better than their actual theatrically released movie. In fact, it's actually about 10 minutes longer than the Wiggles movie. The Wiggles movie is about 80 minutes long, while this is 90 minutes long. Basically, the plot is that one day it rains, causing a rainbow, so now the Wiggles decide to race Captain Fiddlesword and his crew to find what's at the end of the rainbow. Though the titular race to the rainbow doesn't really start until 28 minutes in. But once the race does start, the plot manages to stay pretty focused, though you still got the titular Wiggles music numbers every 5 minutes. Though luckily, the songs are really good. Bump-a-deedle, shaking like a leafy tree, everybody dance, and more. I also love how they incorporate instrumentals of previous songs into the soundtrack.
Move your arms like Henry. Move your arms like Henry.
You might remember me, or I guess MatPat, mentioning earlier that in this video, Captain nearly gets his crew killed in a storm. Though here it feels more like it's out of his own pride rather than his usual stupidity. Literally everybody warns him, but he doesn't listen because he's so confident in his leadership skills. Which I honestly prefer over the conflict being purely caused by his incompetence. Though you could also consider it a bit out of character for him. Meanwhile, the Wiggles are driving to the end of the rainbow, but to get there, they have to follow their dreams. They're told this by the King of the Road, played by Kamal, making his grand return after It's a Wiggly Wiggly World. And he's doing an Elvis impression, because you know the Wiggles, they love to reference Elvis. We also get the return of Magdalena from Wiggle Bay, though she's played by a completely different actress here. But what are the Wiggles' dreams, you may ask? Well, Murray's is to become a rock star, no surprise there. But Greg's is to become a painter, Jeff's is to become a conductor, and Anthony's dream is apparently to play a football game with the New England Patriots?
What's the play called?
Wiggly Fingers.
Wiggly Fingers? Huh?
Huh, I didn't know that about him. Also, Captain Fiddlesword sucks at hide and seek.
What was that? Greg Wiggle? Are you sure?
This video feels like a nice celebration of the Wiggles' 15th anniversary, as well as a nice send-off to Greg, even though the latter definitely wasn't intentional, since when this was made, they didn't even know he was going to be leaving, but still. Number 4, Top of the Tots. Yeah, I mentioned how much I liked this one earlier, and well, we're finally here. Tons of great songs like Bow Wow, Fly Through the Sky, New York Firefighter. And while some songs on the album are better than others, I honestly can't say there's a single one that I dislike. And as we've established, music analysis isn't exactly my specialty, so let's just point out some stupid stuff.
Do you give a cow a bone? No. Give a horse a bone? No.
Why are they asking if you give a cow or horse a bone?
Put your western gear on.
Put your western gear on.
Anthony's mouth doesn't move when he talks. Sleeping on the job. Those things they're holding are actually just upside-down GameCube controllers.
And that's the uniform of a New York City firefighter.
Very interesting. Tell us more.
Jeff couldn't actually hear the fireman.
Hi there, wee hearties. I'm Captain Flowersword.
Captain Flowersword.
Well, enough of that.
Number 3, Toot Toot. The Wiggles are ready to ride in their big red car, but it won't start up. At first, Captain Fiddlesword and Wags try to fix it, but to no avail. So now they have to sing songs while they wait for the mechanic. Pretty simple plot. The songs are just amazing. Toot Toot, Chugga Chugga, Move Your Arms Like Henry, We're Dancing with Wags the Dog, Go Captain Fiddlesword Ahoy, Bala Bala Bambina.
Bala bala, oh bala bambina, bala bala, fina mattina.
No, not them again. Quick, let's get out of here.
Hello, citizens. I'm Food Man.
I apologize for that.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Number 2, and also number 1. I really can't decide which one's better.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
Number 1 is a tie. This video was a mistake. Play me out, Upside Down Show end credits music.
Wiggles videos!